Do I have control now?
You do, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, everyone. You're very welcome to our business briefing today. My name is Ali Donnellan, and I am a program executive on the business and industry team here at SEAI and your host for this morning. We're delighted to have so many of you here today, and we really hope that you'll find it to be an informative session. The purpose of today's briefing is to provide you with educational and financial supports that are available for businesses wishing to embark on their energy efficiency journey and reduce their carbon impact. Firstly, just some housekeeping. So this event is being recorded and your cameras are off, but there will be a Q&A at the very end of today's briefing, so you can submit any Q&As through the Q&A bubble, and you can also submit them throughout the briefing, and we'll endeavour to answer all of them. And if there's any that we can't answer today, we will follow up with a recording and slides for the event after today's briefing. We have a selection of great panelists joining me today. So we have Aisling McCarthy from the Climate Action and Energy Policy Unit at the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment. And Aisling is going to talk to you today about the Climate Toolkit for Business. I'm also joined by my colleague Owen Cullen, who's going to discuss the benefits of a business getting an energy audit. We're also joined by Emer Barry, who from the Electric Vehicles Department, and she's going to talk to you about electric vehicle supports for businesses wishing to make that change to electric vehicles. And we also have John McComb, who's going to talk to you about the non-domestic microgeneration grant, or the solar PV grant, as it's more commonly known. And as I said, we're going to end with a Q&A. So we have a lot to get through, so I'm going to get started. So we understand that taking the steps towards your energy efficiency journey can be kind of daunting for businesses. You don't often know where to start. So we've broken it down into 5 simple steps. So the first thing is you need to understand your energy use. Then you create your energy action plan, complete an energy audit, and then it wouldn't be until those 3 steps are completed that we would ever recommend that you would invest in upgrades and renewables. And then lastly, you'll be monitor, track, and report. So I'm going to discuss with you now these first 2 steps. So as I said, understanding your energy use is very important for every business starting off on their energy efficiency journey. That is why we have the Energy Academy, which is a free e-learning platform designed for businesses to understand their energy use. It's available 24/7 at a time that is convenient for you. So we've designed this for businesses in mind because we know that you're time poor. So these modules are short 15-minute modules. They're very accessible and they're easy to understand. And, you can save up to 10% on your energy use through behavioral change techniques, and you would learn all about these techniques on our Energy Academy. We encourage operational managers and CEOs to join the Energy Academy, but it's really applicable to everyone. We know a lot of businesses who roll it out to all staff as part of a sustainability initiative and have them in their HR inductions and things like that. We have over 30 modules available on the Energy Academy, from things like energy and climate change to office energy efficiency. And then we have more specialized modules such as, if you want to know what a heat pump is, we have introduction to heat pumps, we have solar PV and modules such as that. We also have a number of courses that are really great to complete. We've just recently launched one, Ireland's Renewable Energy Transition, and this goes through renewable heat, renewable fuels for transport, renewable electricity, and it's a really good specialised course. I've also included a couple of examples of how the Energy Academy helps businesses. So, it's free training for your staff. The Energy Academy provides you with practical business-focused modules, and this is really good for boosting staff morale and helping with retention, which I know is an issue in the industry today. It will also improve your business's image. So customers nowadays are looking to go to businesses that are taking the steps towards sustainability. And as part of the courses that we do offer on the Energy Academy, you also are given a certificate, so you can print that off, and it really demonstrates your commitment to reducing carbon impact, which is important for customers. The Energy Academy will also help you identify simple, no-cost, low-cost solutions that will help you save costs across all areas of your business, and you can also implement these in your home. And also will help you reduce your energy waste and lower your carbon footprint. So as I said, the second step on your energy efficiency journey is to create an energy action plan. So we run the Introduction to Energy Management training. So this is basically a trainer-led workshop run by an energy expert, which will help you develop your energy action plan. So this is a 2-hour session which your trainer will take you through the 6 steps to create an energy action plan. And as part of that, you'll also receive a free energy management guide and workbook. This is free training that we run currently once a month, and you can check out our Eventbrite page for the next available workshop. The next one is next Thursday on the 1st of June. I'd really recommend that you would attend one of these workshops if you have the time. It's not only a great workshop to develop your action plan, but also to meet other businesses that are on a similar journey as yourself. You can swap tips and things like that. We also have a suite of online supports available for businesses on our website and our YouTube channel. So we do a number of energy efficiency guides for businesses. We just recently did one for retailers. So this is a really detailed guide and really great for showing how you can save across all areas of your business. We also have a number of case studies available on our website from businesses that have gone through our various supports. And we also, as I said at the beginning of this webinar, we record all of our webinars and our briefings, and they're all available on our YouTube channel to view at a time that is convenient for you. We also have a number of blog posts that are available. We have staff write blog posts. We also have guests write blog posts. And just last year, our head of department, Fergus Sharkey, he did a blog post on quick tips on how businesses could mitigate the cost for the energy crisis. So these across areas such as manufacturing, electricity, heating, and these are quick wins that businesses could implement straight away that will help mitigate the rising costs. So now I'm going to hand you over to Aisling McCarthy, who's going to talk to you about the Climate Toolkit for Business.
Thank you. Thanks a million, Ali, and thanks to colleagues in SEAI for asking me to come here today. So my name is Aisling McCarthy. I work in the Climate Action and Energy Policy Unit in the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment. And I'm going to tell you about the Climate Toolkit for Business, which we jointly developed with our colleagues in the Department of Environment, Climate and Communications. So first of all, a little bit of background. Why was it needed? This is a complex policy space and there's a lot going on, a lot of noise. We undertook a survey in 2020 of greater than 500 businesses. I'm not sure, this is quite small, you mightn't be able to see it, but basically we asked businesses, have you or would you use a carbon calculator to quantify your emissions? And an overwhelming amount said that they hadn't used one, but that they would if one was available. So that was enough of a kind of go ahead for us that there was a need for such a calculator. So we began to develop the Climate Toolkit. So it really aimed to provide SMEs with a single point of information and support in a complex policy space and to answer the question, where do I start? As I said, it was a joint project between my own department and the Department of Environment, Climate and Communications, but we had great support from a steering group made up of organisations, including the SEAI, and here are some of the other organisations here. So the local enterprise offices, Enterprise Ireland, IDA, and then IBEC, Chambers of the business support groups. So what is it? So it's a carbon calculator tool and climate action plan generator aimed at Irish SMEs. It was launched in December 2021 and it provides SMEs with practical ways to take action to reduce their emissions, and it will also help to increase your resilience and to remain competitive in the low carbon economy of the future. So I'll take you through a few screenshots now to show you what it looks like. So this is the homepage. So when you go into Climate Toolkit for Business.gov.ie, this is what will come up. And we really want you to click on the Get Started button and to get in straight away. So this is the start of our calculator. So it really asks for some just simple information about your business. So you put in your sector, your size, and whether you own your building. And all of the information you put into the calculator will be used to determine which recommended actions and supports are right for your business. So this one here, we have retail and wholesale in the sector box here. So you'll only be recommended information and supports and training that is relevant to your sector and similarly to your business size. So if you put in that you're a small or an SME, it will only recommend ones that are relevant to SMEs. So this here is, you'll see the calculator is split up into, the first one is the information we just had, the business information there. Then we have the 4 focus areas, which kind of are used to calculate your carbon footprint: energy, travel, materials, and water. So this is the energy tab, and it's split up into 6 areas. It looks fairly complicated, but in reality, most businesses will only be using maybe 2 or 3 of these. So we have electricity, natural gas, heating oil, and then some others. And you have a choice of putting in your amount of usage in kilowatt hours or in cost per annum. And this is usually readily available from your utility bills. Then I'll just move on to show you the travel tab fairly quickly. You'll be asked again to put in your cost or your annual mileage in petrol, diesel, and the number of business flights that you take. And then just skipping onto the water, just your water usage is just one simple box, and this will all be used to calculate your carbon footprint, which will be demonstrated to you in your climate action report, which is this visual interpretation of where in your business your carbon footprint arises. So as you can see from this one here, the energy use of this business is making up kind of just over half of its carbon footprint, with the yellow representing the travel, the orange representing the materials used or waste, and then the blue representing the water. And then we give you an estimate of your carbon footprint too. And then crucially, then the next part is the action plan part of your climate report, which will give you a series of recommended actions and supports that can help you start to reduce your carbon footprint in the 4 key areas that I've just mentioned. So you'll see at the top here that this action plan has 14 actions in total, and they will cover the 4 areas, and they're further split up so you can filter your report into actions that will help you get started. So they'd be kind of simpler, maybe quicker ones to implement. Then ones that are kind of more for embedding climate action into your organization, and then some maybe longer term, more strategic actions that might require more time and investment. So these actions here, we always start off by recommending everybody just either appoint a key member of staff or a green team to take accountability and to implement this plan. The second one here is you'll just heard Ali talk about the online training that's offered by the SEAI Energy Academy. So that will be recommended here. You'll see this blue box where relevant for each action. The supports are in these blue boxes, and they can be clicked into, and they're linked to directly. So here's a few more. You probably won't be able to read the detail of these, but these are some more energy actions that will kind of, you can monitor, you can reduce your energy use.
Hello, Aisling, have we lost you? I think we may have lost Aisling. Ali,
maybe we could, yeah, we might have to move on to the next agenda item and maybe come back to Aisling. It seems to be blocking out.
Okay, Owen, passing over to you now.
Yeah, no worries. So just my name is Owen Cullen, and I'm a program executive on the business and industry team within SEAI. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the support scheme for energy audits, and then I'm going to run through a couple of examples then. So the support scheme for energy audits, it's an energy audit scheme for SMEs. So it offers SMEs a voucher of €2,000 to get an energy audit with an SEAI registered energy auditor. So it's open year-round for applications. It's automatic application as well. So once you go on and apply, the voucher will be issued to you straight away as well. And to be eligible, then your company must be an SME, must have less than 250 employees, have a turnover of less than 50 million or a balance sheet of less than 43, and then also be spending at least €10,000 per year on energy, exclusive of transfer energy costs, and then obviously be tax compliant. So if you're looking for more information and to apply, they can be found at the link below there. And just to give you an example then, so this is kind of a breakdown of the sectors that have been applying for the energy audits. So you can see there, so there's a wide range of sectors across across the different SMEs. So like we have manufacturing, accommodation, food services, which would be like hotels, restaurants, pubs, B&Bs, that kind of thing, wholesale and retail trade, agriculture, forestry. And then on the right then we have is the split of energy consumption. So that's what the SMEs are spending there. That's where the SMEs are spending their money on. So we can see then that's kind of roughly an even split then between thermal, electrical and transport energy. And then so at the bottom, then we can see that we've had an increase in registered energy auditors. So when we started the scheme in July 2021, there was 90 auditors on the list, and that's increased to 160 now. And there's new auditors coming all the time on that. So we do have quite strict kind of qualification criteria for that list. So that's just to ensure that the auditors are providing kind of high quality audits to the SMEs. And then this is just kind of a list of a list of recommendations. So this is the top recommendations that we see from the energy audits. So as you can see, solar PV is the most popular recommendation from auditors, with nearly 50% of auditors audits recommending that. But also like energy management, LED lighting, and then heat pumps, refrigeration upgrades as well. So we can see there's kind of a broad range of measures there that that the auditors are recommending to the SMEs. And then just to give you an example, so this is a supermarket in Cavan. So this on the right here, we have kind of a screenshot of the energy audit report. So you can see here, so this is their current energy spend and then their current emissions, so in tons of CO2 equivalent. And then on the bottom here, we can see the list of recommendations from the energy auditor. So it'll list like the action, the energy saving per year, the cost, the action, the payback period, and then kind of the first steps. So if there's any supports within SEAI that the SME can utilize. So we can see there the energy management system is the lowest payback period and probably the easiest measure to implement, and then they can utilize that to the communities grant. But then we can also see that solar PV, the 200 kilowatt system, it's the most significant investment, but it does have the highest amount of savings as well. And then we can also see that they can avail of the communities grant then for 30% of this grant funding. So it kind of gives a handy way for the SME to see what sort of actions that they'll be able to implement to bring down their costs and also bring down their emissions. And then this is just another example. So this is a hotel in Mayo. So again, we can see that they have the current energy spend there and also the current total emissions. So we can see again, solar PV is recommended, as well as a heat pump, which is quite a significant investment, but there are large savings per year to be had with that heat pump investment. And then energy meeting and energy academy training for staff, they're kind of low cost measures which can be implemented straight away. So we generally see that those would be recommended to a majority of the SMEs across the different sectors. And now I'm going to pass you over to my colleague, Emer Barry, who will take you through the EV sports.
Thanks very much, Owen. So my name is Emer Barry and I work on the electric vehicles program within SEAI. So just to give you an idea as to where we're at in 2022. So there was 11,000 vehicles grant-aided, which is about 53 million in grants that were paid. And this year we're going for higher than that as it stands. So why change to an EV? So you're looking at your costs initially. So you can save up to 70% in fuel. The maintenance is reduced. You can save up to about 60% in maintenance due to much less moving parts within an electric vehicle. There's a toll incentive scheme for EVs, so a business can save up to €1,000 on their tolls if you're using tolls quite a lot, and then motor tax is the cheapest rate for EVs. And this is looking at a fully electric vehicle, and plug-in hybrids will have some savings, but not as much as an electric vehicle. Also, if you were to buy an EV or any charging equipment, you can claim your VAT back under the accelerated capital allowance, and there's details on the EEE page in relation to that. Positive brand image was mentioned before, but again, it shows your company's contributing to a cleaner, more sustainable environment. And then you have your reduced emissions. So there's no tailpipe emissions from a battery electric vehicle. So there's no pollutants coming out of a tailpipe. They reduce noise. And then as we increase the amount of renewable energy on the grid, you are driving a cleaner vehicle. So just to look at what supports are available. So there are grants available, 3,800 for the commercial purchase of a van, so an N1 van. And then there's 7,600 towards a large panel van. So it's still an N1, but we split it into two different categories. So a large panel van would have 3.5 tons as its maximum load capacity. And then there's €600 towards a charger to be installed in your home. Your staff can avail of this if they have a van, and it's up to yourselves if you decide you want to pay the balance, but anyone can now avail of the €600 grant to install a charger on their home. There's the VRT relief. There's no VRT to be paid on vans. Now I know it's quite low anyway for a van. And then there's obviously lower VRT rates then for passenger vehicles if you go that route. If you have an M1 or there's BIK reduction, so the first 45,000, there's no BIK paid on that, and this is going to reduce over the next while on a sliding scale to 2025. So before you decide you're going to buy it, you kind of have to think, well, what kind of driving do I do? So you really need to review and analyze what driving you do, what distance are you doing, are you carrying goods, where can you charge? So really just analyze and understand your own driving needs and get the EV that's right for your needs. If you're only doing 100 kilometers round trip every day, you don't need a vehicle that has a range of 600-700 kilometers. It may not be worth the additional cost to get that kind of range. So a range of about 300 might suit your needs. And most EVs now, the newer ones in the market, are in and around 350, 400, some of them going up to 600. You'll get a load of information, just general information on drivingelectric.ie, you know, what to look for when you're buying a used EV. We also have a total cost of ownership calculator, and that will help you compare the running costs and costs of buying and running a petrol or diesel car in comparison to an electric vehicle. And there's a calculator there for passenger cars and for vans, so you can see how you could save on a van. And then finally, I'd suggest that you test drive a vehicle until you actually get in the car and drive it. You won't know what it's like to drive an electric vehicle, and they are very nice to drive. So contact a dealer and ask them, could you take a car for a couple of days as a test drive? They're normally more than happy to let you take them and try them out. So I'm going to pass you over now to John.
Thanks for that, Emer. So I'm going to talk to you about the SEAI non-domestic microgen scheme, specifically solar PV at the minute. There are talks of, in the future, introducing small-scale wind and hydro, but at the minute, it's the solar PV grant that's live. So a bit of background to the scheme. So the department announced the new microgeneration support scheme on the 21st of December 2021. So there is a grant available, a maximum of €2,400, and you get that grant at a system size of 4 kilowatt peak. So for 5 kilowatt peak, you get the same amount, and for 6 kilowatt peak, you get the same amount. But the maximum system size, that's the key takeaway, is 6 kilowatt peak. So again, the maximum 6 kilowatt peak, and that approximately, just for a visual, is about 16 panels of an area of 25 meters squared. The difference between the non-domestic scheme and the domestic solar PV scheme is there's no BER required, and it's available to all pre-2021 buildings. SEAI launched the scheme on the 22nd of September 2022. So as I mentioned, it's separate to the domestic SPV scheme. However, the application process, grant offer, and payment process are very similar to the domestic SPV scheme. And the scheme is underpinned by the Clean Export Guarantee. I'll get into a bit of that. Sometimes that can confuse people between the CEG and the CEP. For any exported electricity subject to supplier rates. So that's the contract you have with your supplier. Okay, so who can apply? So the grant is available to businesses, SMEs specifically, because of the limitation of the system size. I'll talk a bit more about that. It is something within the team and the organization that we are conferring with DEC to the possibility of increasing that system size. But at the minute, the maximum system size, as I mentioned, is 6 kilowatt peak. The agri sector, public sector bodies, schools, we have a few schools coming on board, which is good to see. Community centres and non-profit societies. So a little about solar PV. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of this, but for those that are not, as Owen mentioned, and I think it's important when I'm talking to people as well, and we do promote this, that solar is an excellent renewable measure. But as an SME or as a business, I'd very much encourage to use the audit scheme and look at the building as a whole, possibly lighting, heat sources, heat retention, before going straight for solar. So solar PV modules convert sunlight to direct current DC power. An inverter changes that solar DC power into alternating current or AC power. Your business uses electricity from the solar PV modules first, with additional demand supplied by the grid. And a meter measures your electricity production and consumption. Excess power generated by the solar PV modules is fed into the electricity grid. And then the option is battery storage then. So just a few photos just to break it up. For visuals, this is a project that's ongoing at the minute as part of the scheme. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the PV modules on the roof. In the middle then is the inverter. So that's what I talked about. So the modules create the DC electricity. The inverter in the middle then converts that to AC. And on the right-hand side, you'll see your meter box that you see in your home or in your premises in this case or building. So this is quite a busy slide, but the CG tariff, what I would say to people for feasibility and projects, calculating payback ability. A lot of people are looking now at the tariffs from contractors. I have a case study in here, and I've taken it from myself. I have a PV system myself, domestic, but the reason I'm using it is it's quite similar to the system size. It's a 4 kilowatt peak. So the data I've taken is from myself. So I've given myself consent to share that data with you. So it's pretty relevant. So microgeneration is the generation of small-scale renewable energy, such as solar PV panels, etc. If you produce more electricity than you consume, the surplus will spill into the grid, allowing you to receive a credit for the excess amount you produce. So this was introduced on the 15th of February 2022. The supplier is informed, your supplier is informed by the information on the NC6 connection form. So the NC6 is the form that's relevant to this scheme. It's up to 11 kVA, which is it falls in with the 6 kilowatt peak. So when you get a contractor, you go out, you get your quotes with a contractor, and you decide to go with a contractor. It's up to the contractor then or the company that's registered with the SEAI to complete this NC6 and send it to ESBN. So this case study, Electric Ireland now is just an example of a supplier that's now paying 21 cent per kilowatt hour. There are other suppliers out there that are paying more than this. One that I read recently up to 30 cent per kilowatt hour. So when calculating your payback ability, this is a factor, but this is not, this will not be a constant. This is based on, the higher rates is based on security of supply and demand. So if you were calculating, for example, over 5 years, there is no guarantee that this rate will be 21 cent per kilowatt hour over 5 years, I should say. So that's just something to bear in mind. So an example that I'm using, the 4 kilowatt peak, it's 10 by 400 watt PV panels, 10 panels. On a residential home would result in a payment of about €200 per year. Additional info, it is revenue related, so check that out on revenue as well, the link there. If you have a day and night meter, or for technical reasons cannot have a smart meter installed, you'll receive a deemed estimate based on the size of your microgeneration installation. The estimate will be calculated by ESB Networks using an algorithm provided by the CRU, the Commission for Regulation of Utilities. Smart meter payments in effect from the 2nd of December 2022. So that's when it was introduced. People would start seeing it on their bills, but it was backdated, as I mentioned, since it was introduced the 15th of February 2022, or when your NC6 was processed. ESBN are prioritizing customers without a smart meter, and pay-as-you-go customers will have the credit applied to their electricity account. So again, I've taken this, this is from my own bill that I'm sharing with you just to give you a visual what it looks like. So the two key takeaways from this is what you're paying per kilowatt hour, and then this is what you're getting back then. So it's just an example that it is live and it is coming through. But just one takeaway from this as well is you're almost paying 40 cents per kilowatt hour there. You're getting back 21 cents, which is a little under, I should say, 50%. So the takeaway from that, what I would encourage, and certainly what I do, is that if you can use, you know, consume as opposed to exporting, it makes more financial and viable sense. Okay, leading on to this then, this is just a very small table of, as an SME or an office, or whether it be a small company size, this is just a bit of usage on computers, a fridge, a dish, and we put in something there just for our agri audience, just on dairy farming. But leading on from the previous slide there, if you have a decent spell of weather that we're coming into now, and the kind of peak times for solar are between May and September. If you're in the office, for example, at a lunchtime, you know, run that dishwasher when you're producing from solar, or any other high use items. That's the time to use it, as opposed to giving it back to the grid when you can be using and really saving on the generation. Again, when you're considering a project, obviously talk to your contractors and your companies and get your quotes, but there is some research that you can do yourself. This is from the Euro Solar. It's a PV calc tool, and you can easily get this online. So you can see on the left-hand side there, you can put in your location, your coordinates, your PV, proposed PV system size, and this is based on south-facing. The ideal conditions in Ireland is south-facing, a roof that's south-facing. So it will give you the kilowatt hours that it can produce. The rule of thumb that I use, that I give, is an ideal conditions, and this is an annual average, is 900 kilowatt hours per kilowatt peak. So for example, a 4 kilowatt peak system potentially can generate 3,600 kilowatt hours annually. And to give you perspective on that, a heat pump within a 3-bed semi-detached house on average will use 3,000 kilowatt hours annually. So it is a very effective measure. However, I will say again, going back to what Owen was talking about, that once you have other measures in place, I would look at other measures, and certainly then introduce solar then as part of a full package then.
Thanks, John.
Okay, I'll hand you back to Ali there. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, John. So I just also wanted to touch on some other financial supports that we have available for businesses. So we have our support scheme for renewable heat. So this is basically a support scheme for the installation of up to 40% of the installation of a heat pump, or also it covers an operational tariff of over 15 years for a biomass boiler. It's also important to note that that 40% cost covers also fabric upgrades for the building to, you know, ensure to improve the quality of the heat produced by the heat pump. This is a great option for businesses that are still relying on fossil fuels and want to make that transition to renewable heat sources. So definitely check out our website for that scheme. It's a really, really good scheme. We also have our community energy grant, which is our longest running grant, and this is basically if a group of businesses want to come together and, you know, have a energy efficiency project that would benefit the whole community. So it's not for a single measure, it is a cross-sectoral approach. And you can find, it's basically managed by a project coordinator, and you can find a list of all the project coordinators around the country on our website. And it's suitable for projects from around 50,000 to up to 1.5 million. And the grants covered for businesses is typically around 30% of the costs. And we also have our Excellence in Energy Efficiency Design, or EXCEED program. So this is basically a certification program for businesses to achieve optimum energy performance. The EXCEED covers kind of two costs. So the first thing would be, if you're going to do EXCEED, you'd have to hire an EXCEED expert, and they would conduct feasibility studies, and what comes out of those studies as well would then be the capital investment. So EXCEED covers 50% of the professional services and then 30% for the capital investment. This is definitely targeted more for larger businesses. It'd be kind of, you know, if you wanted to retrofit a whole building or things like that. And it also, the maximum grant is for 3 million. And I also just wanted to say that we have, it's the 20th year of the SEAI Energy Awards. So the Energy Awards recognize and reward excellence in all aspects of sustainable and renewable energy. And we have, this year, we have 11 categories for businesses to apply. And as you can see, there's a category for small and medium business. So if you know of any businesses, or if you think you are a business that is making those great strides in renewable energy and think you're applicable, you definitely submit an application. The closing date is the 23rd of June, and it's a really straightforward online system. And we have our awards in November, so definitely encourage you or anyone you know to apply. And I think we have Aisling back. So Aisling, if you want to hand back to you, if you want to finish off your slides, that'd be great.
That's great. Thank you so much. And apologies again for my network dropping there. I don't know what happened. Okay, so you've taken your utility bills, you've entered your information into our carbon calculator here under the 4 headings, and then you can click the button to generate your action report, and it will bring you in here. So it uses the metrics you've entered to give you a visual representation of your carbon footprint in the 4 areas. So you will see that this business, the green part of the donut chart here, is its energy use. So this is making up most of its carbon footprint. And then the travel is yellow, the waste is the orange part here, and then its water use makes up the blue part. And it will give you a numerical estimate of your carbon footprint. So if I click in now, this brings you in, the next part of your action report is the action plan. So this one here, you'll see at the top, has 14 actions, and these actions will be tailored to you based on the information that you have input about your business, and they will cover the 4 key areas that we have just mentioned. So this one, the first one here, is to appoint a key member of staff, or in some cases for bigger organizations, we'll recommend appointing a green team. This one here you'll have heard already from SEAI colleagues about the training that's available. So this one here is about training that your staff should undertake. And this blue box here is a link into the SEAI Energy Academy. I'll just show another couple of quick examples of actions that we will recommend. And in each case, there will be blue boxes to a number of different supports, both financial and kind of educational, that are available to help you and your business implement these actions and to ultimately reduce your carbon footprint. And we also have some nice case studies on the website, so I'd urge you to go on and have a look at those. This one is a company in Cork that availed of the Leo Green for Micro program. These are just a quick idea of some of the numbers. We're delighted with the support the toolkit has been getting. Over 1,000 users have registered now. This is a little bit out of date, this one here. And over 7,000 users have entered their information into the carbon calculator and generated their climate action report. And then just in terms of ongoing work, just to finish up, we're doing some particular work with certain sectors, and I don't know if there are any businesses on the call in the hospitality and tourism sector, but we're undertaking some work with Fáilte Ireland that you should start to see soon, which will be very exciting and a great additional help and support to businesses in that sector. And we're ongoing work as well to update the toolkit and to ensure that the information in it is up to date, so that your only recommended supports that are available, that they're up to date, and we get input from all of our agencies and partner organisations, including the SEAI, to ensure that it's kept up to date. So that's it. Thank you very much. Apologies again for my network problems. you can contact us at info@climatetoolkitforbusiness.gov.ie, and this is our web address, and I urge you to have a look at it. And I'm happy to take any questions now. I'll hand back over to Ali. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Aisling, and thank you to all of our panelists. So as I said at the beginning, this is now, we're at our Q&A. So if anyone has any questions for our panelists, you can submit them through our Q&A bubble on the right-hand side of your page.
There's one question in there just in relation to the €600 charger grant. Can it be used on business premises? So no, it is a home charger grant. But if you're purchasing EV equipment for your business, you can claim back through the accelerated capital allowance in year 1. So that's the option there at the moment.
Great, thank you, Emer. Are there a list of Exceed designers? I might pass this question over to, we're also joined by Dervla Stapleton, the manager here on our business and industry team. Dervla, I think you're still on mute.
I am indeed. Well, at least one of us had to do that. We have a list of Exceed certified professionals, which we can, it's on our website, and also we maintain a register of energy auditors who have undergone, and it indicates which of those have undergone the Exceed training. So we can share that in the FAQ. We can share the links to those registered professionals.
Perfect, thank you. I have another question here. I think it might be for Owen. This is from Christina. I got a quote for €3,800 for an energy audit. Will it be worth checking out some other auditors to get a better price?
Yeah, generally we would recommend to get at least 3 quotes from auditors. Now the €2,000, in the majority of cases, that will cover the cost of the energy audit, although for larger, say, manufacturing or industrial sites, or if you have quite a large site, the cost would probably more than likely be more than €2,000. But that will be agreed between yourself and the auditor then prior to that taking out. So like the SME would have to cover that extra cost.
Great, thank you. I have another question here from Mary Doyle. So we are build road repair machinery for hire and use of councils. We buy in a lot of products. Also, how would we measure our carbon footprint with all the items? What is the best way? Aisling, I might ask you about that one.
Sorry, I missed that question. Which one was it? Sorry, Ali.
The business here is just asking about how to best measure their carbon footprint with all the different items they work in road repair machinery. If there's a way for that to kind of measure their carbon footprint.
Yeah, so we base it on fuel use. So if they go into the carbon calculator with kind of either volume or cost of the fuels that they use, they can input those numbers and it will include them all and calculate the carbon footprint from that. So yeah, go in and try it out, and don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions about it, and we can help advise there.
Perfect, thank you. I have a query in here about the support scheme for renewable heat and how to apply. So you can check out the support scheme for renewable heat via our website and apply there. It doesn't include the solar PV, so that is a separate scheme. So you apply for the non-domestic microgeneration grant separately. They're 2 separate grants. And I have a question here for John. If a business wants to install a larger PV system than 6 kilowatts per hour, are they ineligible for the grant?
Hi Ali, hi Mike. I'm just typing away here an answer to it. I'll put it into the chat anyway, so you'll have it as a reference. Yeah, at the minute, Mike, the maximum system size is 6 kilowatt peak. So to answer your question, any systems larger or bigger than that would be ineligible.
Perfect, thank you. And then, I can see the next question here. Aisling, you sent in the references there. Perfect.
I did the follow-up question there as well. So Christian asks for the references for our Uisce Éireann, our Irish Water and EPA waste conversion figures. They're provided by those organisations to us directly, so I'm not sure if they're from published sources. So you contact me if needs be, but I'd really recommend maybe getting on to Irish Water, to Uisce Éireann and the EPA directly, and they can let you know where they get the figures from, but they just provide them to us when we ask for them. And similarly with the energy data, that's provided by the SEAI. And I think your stats team and the SEAI are undertaking a bit of a update of their website anyway. So I think most of those are available on the website.
Yeah, we publish regular updates to our data, I think quarterly or half yearly, as depending on when it becomes available, and that's where the information comes from on our data and insights page.
Yeah, come back to me, Christian, if you can't get the information directly from the EPA and Uisce Éireann, and I can get onto them on your behalf if needs be.
Thank you. So I have a question in here. When will microgeneration for wind power come into play?
Yeah, I'll take that, Ali. As I mentioned in the presentation, there are no definitive dates for introducing wind or hydro as part of the non-domestic microgen scheme. So at the minute, solar is the only show in town.
And John, another question here. They're wondering, when is the 2,400 grant due to expire?
Again, I'm full of answers. No definitive date on an expiry for the scheme, which is good. So no date on that.
There's no indication that it is going to.
And then we have a question: is it possible to combine different grants, like the community energy grant and the support scheme for renewable heat?
Well, the community energy grant, I suppose, covers a range of different measures. So if you are going down the community route, I would encourage you to include as many projects as you can, including, for example, a heat pump if you had it, rather than, you know, going down one road for some grants and then doing the support scheme for another. Typically, our grants are capped at about 30% for businesses anyway.
Thank you. And then I think we have a question for Emer. Retrofits of petrol motors with electric vehicle motor grants, and if not, why not?
Yeah, there are no grants for that at the moment. It's not proven as yet, so I suppose it's not something we are looking at. We are doing a piece of work just researching what's available to retrofit a vehicle. But there's a huge amount of work and changes involved in warranties, etc. So there's nothing available at the moment for that.
Thank you. I think we have another question for you, Emer. Do you support changing fuel in a fleet from diesel to HVO?
We do have alternative fuels, so it's not just electric that we support, but I suppose it would depend on what you're looking at doing. So yeah, we do have different grants, but it's more for the vehicle that we would grant aid that's using a different fuel, that's using alternative fuel. So yeah, if they want to give us a drop me an email on that one, I can have a further discussion with them.
Great, thank you. I have a question here about the audit scheme. So this business is focused on transport, and they're saying they're finding it difficult to find a list for the auditors that kind of cover transport. It seems to be 99% buildings. And they're also saying that the report format is not flexible enough to allow to focus on transport that the business needs and is not kind of bogged down. There is auditors that would cover transport.
Yeah, so like generally, so in terms of the €10,000 energy spend, so that would be transport costs couldn't be counted towards that, but it can be included in the overall recommendations from the auditors. So generally, what we like, the €10,000 kind of cap would have to be from thermal and electrical energy costs, but you can it can still be included in the overall report. And generally, what we find is that auditors would kind of wouldn't be able to focus on transport as well as the actual building or site itself. So and then we have adapted our report as well so that there is a section on transport costs as well, and then the kind of graphs outlining the transport costs. So that has been adapted to account for transport as well.
Great, thanks,
I think
Ellen.
as well, I suppose there, you know, it's a fairly, it's a generic template. To support, I suppose, 290,000 businesses. But there may be some more complex businesses that need to get specific support from a special type of auditor or whatever. So we would recommend that you, I suppose we maintain a list of registered energy auditors, and we'd probably recommend that if you need a specific expertise that you would ring around and get it, and that might be the best way for a business that needs a specific type of auditor, I think.
Great, thank you, Derbla. I think we've made it through all the questions. I haven't gotten any other ones directly to myself unless anyone else has. Yeah, if anyone has any more questions, they're more than welcome to submit them through our Q&A bubble.
Sorry, Ali. I think there's one we might.
Oh, did I miss one? Sorry.
No, there's no panic. No, I think there's one we might have missed from Eugene. Surely energy providers should pay for microgen at the same rate as they charge off the grid. Eugene, that's purely dictated by the suppliers and the CRU. We have no direct involvement with that payment.
Thanks, John. Yeah, if there's no further questions, we'll end the briefing shortly. Thank you all so much for attending today. And as I said, we will be sending out a copy of the recording and slides, and also the Q&A that we've just gone through now. That will be all sent out to you after this. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone.